What's going on, everybody? We are back out here with the OBS. So I went and got the hood. My buddy's just having a heck of a time getting it painted. He's got kids. He owns his own business. He's busy. So the weather's fixing to turn cool again. Today it's about 80, so I'm going to try to knock it out tonight. I may be making huge mistakes, but it's my only option I have. So I want to show you guys, I built myself a paint booth out here in the shop area, and we're going to knock this thing out. So it's, I just used where the garage door on the back of the garage is and put the plastic on the rails. It doesn't quite go all the way to the ground, but it's pretty good, I think. And then got plenty of space inside here. I find the opening to get the hood set up. It's real dirty, so I'm gonna wipe it down real quick. The automotive style paint we picked up just wasn't working. It's very finicky as far as temperatures and everything, so I'm just going to go turbo can. All right, Rust-Oleum, because I've done some Rust-Oleum touch-ups on the truck just to kind of fend off some of the rust, like right here, and it's the same color. I mean, these older vehicles, it was just white. It wasn't pearl white or snow white or whatever, you know, galaxy black or whatever all these fancy colors are. It was just white. So I got just white spray paint. And then I got some gloss clear as well. So I'm gonna hit it with the big turbo. Try to get because he's got a good layer down. It'd be a great base. There's just a couple of spots he had to sand for runs. So we're gonna get that knocked out, give it some time to cure, lay down that clear all together, hopefully before the temperature starts dropping because there's a cold front coming. So I'm gonna get started. I don't know how much of this I'm gonna record because I don't wanna get my camera with paint all over it, but we'll see. All right, so I laid down 3 coats, kind of medium, trying to get all coverage, get the edges, get the front, get the cowl section. Pretty sure I ruined my sock, but whatever. Just as it started raining, so that means the cold front's here, so this will have to dry. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold because I still need to clear it. Looks like a little bit of a wrinkle right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it'll have to be wet sanded a little bit and then cleared. But it looks good. I mean, it laid down good. It took one whole can basically, which I thought, from the videos I've seen online, I thought that can would go longer than that, but hell, there's people painting half a car with one of those cans, so I thought I would get more out of it, but it is what it is. All right, I'm gonna let it dry while I eat my dinner. All right, it's probably been about an hour. It's still tacky. I kind of touched on the side down here and it's still sticky. But I mean, it laid down pretty good. There's a few spots here and there. There's like a run right here on this edge. Some bugs landed in it. I mean, it's my first time really painting something this big, so I think it come out pretty good. I ordered some stuff to do some wet sanding, so I've got 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and 2,500 grit. I think that was it. It may have just been 3. But it's progressive, super fine grit sandpaper on its way, be here in a couple of days. And then I'll be able to do a light wet sand to kind of knock down this. It's kind of like got like a texture. We'll knock that flat and then do a couple of coats of clear and wet sand it with 2,000 again. And then clear it one last time. Hopefully by next weekend we'll be able to get it installed. I was able to get a good amount of paint on that part because you will be able to see that from inside the cab. So I wanted to make sure I painted that good. And I got the leading edges good where you can't see any paint or metal sticking through. Got the front edge real good. I mean, I'm happy with it. You guys got to understand, this is only going to last a few months until I get the truck to paint for the actual paint job. So I just wanted it to match the truck and not be just this black like it is on the bottom, and then, you know, rust or whatever. So, I mean, hey, I'm happy with it. I'm gonna sand it down, get it nice and smooth, get some clear on it, and we'll be good. I mean, you gotta look at the truck, because this is what we're working with. I mean, you got paint missing, you know, the hood, the original hood, it's got hail damage, it's got missing paint, you know, it's got this whole edge is missing paint. So there wasn't a high level of requirements here. I mean, look at the cab. I mean, yeah. The bar was pretty low, so I think it's going to be fine once I get it cleared where it's got a little shine to it. And I also, I haven't even unboxed it yet, but for my birthday, my mom got me this awesome rotary polisher, so that'll make short work of the buffing once we get done. So I'm going to let this dry a couple of days. It says 24 to 48 hours, but it's been raining, so the humidity's high, so it's going to take a long time. So probably sometime in the next couple of days, once I get this material in, I'll start the wet sand and we'll pick back up then. We'll see you then. All right, we're about 17 hours or so since I finished painting the hood. It's dry, it's not tacky, it's not soft anywhere. So I went ahead and I had a sanding block, a 320 grit sanding block, like the foam blocks. And I just very, very lightly just to knock down the egg or the orange peel that you get with spray paint. And I don't know if you can see it in that finish. There was a little bit of a run right here. I knocked that down. But I just basically, the weight of the sponge just sliding on the paint. I didn't bear down on it at all or really grind on it. I ordered this stuff to do the wet sanding starting at 1,000 grit and going up to 2,000 grit. So I'll let that do the majority of the work. I just wanted to kind of knock down the high points from the orange peel. And I'm impatient, so I couldn't leave it alone. But the paint looks good. I mean, I could throw it on the truck now, just polish it and go. But I want to put a clear on it to make sure it doesn't yellow. So that's where we're at now. I'll update again whenever I get more supplies. All right, doing a little more prep work, trying to get ready to paint this hood or to clear the hood. It's not supposed to be above 70 for the next like 2 weeks, which is really unfortunate, but I got to do something. So right now out here, it's a mild, 62 metal temperature, just in general in the garage. I'm trying to get the hood temperature up more closer to 70, so I went and got these heat lamps, got them going. It's just been 10 minutes, and we're seeing 70, 73, 75, 90 right there. So the metal temperature is coming up. It's in, like I said, only about 10 minutes. So if I let these run for about 20 minutes and I set up my heater to warm it up in here a little bit, I think I'll be able to paint this later on this week after I do all the wet sanding and get it prepped. So I say paint, I got to clear it. The paint's done, I just got to clear it. But same thing, you got to have it. It says 50 to 90, but it just doesn't work right that low. I need it to be around 70. So that's the goal. So that's just a test run, but it looks like it's going to work. So once I get all the stuff here to do the wet sanding, then we'll be ready to rock. All right, we're going to be back out here doing some wet sanding on the hood again. So I picked up a pack of sandpaper, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 grit. I picked up a sanding block and a squirt bottle. I've got a bucket of water as well. I just wanted the squirt bottle for quick, keeping stuff wet. I've never done this before to this level of quality. I've sanded stuff before, but I've never tried to make it mirror finish like I'm trying to with this. So it's going to be a learning experience, but hopefully we can figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and get this loaded up with 1,000 grit and get the camera set up and we'll get started. All right, I'm going to try to get a good shot of this finish. You can kind of see with the light reflection there. It's got a pretty good orange peel on it for sure. So that's kind of a before, and then we'll work on the after. All right, so I'm going very, very light on this, trying to do crisscross pattern. I feel like that's going to be the best result. So this panel has been sanded basically 4 times, 2 this way and 2 this way. And this panel I haven't touched. So you can see the difference in the finish. Still a little wet, but let me see if I can get another light. That may help. Yeah, all I have is multi-point LED work lights, and they don't work. I need a single point of light, but you can kind of see a little bit of a difference. It does feel a lot smoother. I think I need to go another round at least, because there's still a little bit of eggshell left on there. So I'm going to knock that out, and then just keep progressing through the whole hood. I'm going to be here a while, but it's got to be done. So keep moving forward. Tell you what, guys, I have a newfound respect for anybody that does paint and body work. This has been a hassle. So I had the hood looking pretty good. I was trying to speed things up and tried to use some power tools and ended up going through the paint. So I figured I would sand it down and start over, or not start over, but just sand it smooth and go again. And I did that and it just went south. I don't know if I got a bad paint can or if it was too cold. But it was bad. There were runs everywhere. It come up like alligator skin. It was horrible. So I sanded that back down, and in order to get that off or back down to where I could use it, then I had to go through some of the paint in a couple of spots. So I figured I better throw some primer on those, you know, to kind of help make the paint stick for the next coat. And that was a mistake. I think the primer was old. When I tried to sand it, even 36, 48 hours later, it was just gumming up and sticking to the sandpaper. It wouldn't come off. It was sticky on the hood. So I basically had to start over again. So I sanded the whole hood. I wet sanded it with 80 grit to take all of that crap off. And then I wet sanded again with 120. Cleaned it all up, and that's where we're at now. Using my heater here to kind of keep it warm in here. It's not cold, but it's probably in the 60s, and that's kind of on the cool side for spray paint. So it's looking pretty good. I did a very light coat because I didn't want any runs, so you can still kind of see some of the spots where it's kind of went through. The thing I'm concerned about is it's doing the alligator skin again. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I mean, I cleaned it really good, and then I used this spray prep cleaner and wiped it down really good, made sure it was dry. I had the heater and I rigged up these heat lamps. So I had the hood was in the 90 to 100 degree range when I pulled all of that stuff off. So it was probably high 80s to low 90s when I sprayed it. So I don't think it was too cold. I don't know why it did that. It's just there and then a little bit there. So I don't know, hopefully that'll come off pretty easy once I let it dry completely. I'm not going to touch it for probably 2 days because I feel like I'm rushing it and getting ahead of myself. So one of these days I'll have a hood. At this point, I probably should have just sent it to the body shop. It would have been cheaper. All right, so we're going to wait another 24 to 48 hours and mess with it again, and then I'll update again. So see y'all soon. All right, back out here again on the hood. Waited 24 hours. I did a 220 sand with the orbital sander to knock down some of the rough spots, some of that alligator skin that we saw in the previous section. Got it all smooth and kind of dulled up so that the paint would stick. And this time around, I didn't do a full coat of paint. I just hit the spots where I had went through the paint before to give them an extra coat, to kind of make it all the same color and cover up those raw metal spots. I do have that did a little bit of alligator skin there. I went a little heavy on that spot. These turbo cans are kind of wild, man. You got to move fast, because if you slow down at all, you're just too much paint quick. I don't know if you can see that in there, but there's a bit of a wrinkle right there. But I covered up, I got the wrinkles out of right here, and I covered up all of the bald spots. So I think the next step after 24 hours is going to be a wet 220 sand, to just kind of knock down this little bit of stuff like this. And there's a little bit here. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I guess it's too thick. I don't know. It's doing it there too. I didn't really paint it that heavy. But once it dries, tomorrow I'll do like a 220 wet sand to knock it back down, and then hopefully the final coat. It's supposed to be warming up a little bit later this week, so I'm hoping that'll help. It's a little cold right now. I got the heater and the fan going. It just kind of warmed it up in here. I had the hood up to about 85 degrees before I sprayed, just to kind of keep it from being too cold. But that's where we're at. I'm gonna let this dry, and we'll hit it again tomorrow. For you guys, it'll be right now. All right, guys, out here again 24 hours later. Got another coat down, so I went ahead and wet sanded with a 220 grit on the orbital sander. I took down those rough spots and then just kind of lightly sanded the entire hood. Cleaned it real good, warmed it up with the heater here, wiped it down with some cleaner, made sure it was good and dry, and then we shot another coat of paint. So let's look at it now. It's all the same color again, which is good. It laid down pretty good that time. There were a few spots that were kind of thin, so those are covered. Like there was a spot here, and then on the edge of this crease, kind of where the sandpaper hits heavy, especially the crease of this line here. So all of those covered well. It's all the same color white now. I do have a little wrinkle right there, and this spot wrinkled again, but it's much smaller. So I'm gonna let this dry 24 hours. I'll come back with the wet sand once again, because that worked really good. It was hazy. It wasn't shiny, but it also wasn't super scratched. So we'll knock that out, and then I'm just gonna let it sit, because we're going on vacation, going for Christmas. And then when I get back, I'll do the 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 grit wet sands. And then hopefully we'll be ready for clear. I really hope so. I'm hoping to get this on the truck by New Year's. It's like, I don't know, the 20th now, 21st. So I really hope this works. I'm so tired of this thing. And we have a new addition that you guys haven't seen yet. I haven't posted the video yet, but I need to make room in the garage because I have another vehicle to start working on. This one's going to be a really fun project, I think. So hopefully you guys enjoy that content as well. But for now, I'm gonna let this dry, and we'll pick up again tomorrow night. All right, see you in a minute. Well, guys, it's another day out here on the old hood for the OBS. I got that rough spot sanded down. I tried to go as light as I could to not go through the paint that's there. I read some forums and some comments where it said that the paint that I'm using is possibly not compatible with the primer that was already on the hood, but at this point, there's 3 or 4 layers of paint below the paint, so it should not be reacting to the primer. So we're gonna have a look at it now. I'm hoping this one dries nice and flat, and then we can start wet sanding. So let's check it out. All right, so it laid down pretty good. There is a little bit of a haziness. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera right there. That's where it was buckled up before. It's got a little tiny bit of that texture to it. But if it stays like that, I'll be able to sand that off easy. There's also a little piece of fuzz in there, but whatever. Everything else laid down good. Everything's smooth. Everything looks flat. Got a nice sheen to it. So as long as nothing goes sideways with this one, the next step will be sanding with, I got some 1000 grit pads for my orbital. I'm not going to use that big sander. I'm going to use my little orbital. I got some 1000 grit, 1500, all the way up to 2000 grit. So I'm going to start with that 1000 grit wet sand and kind of get it smooth, see how it looks. And then we'll lay down a coat of the clear. And then from what I've read, you got to hit in between the clears with like a 1500 wet sand, and then the final coat of clear, and then you polish it out. So it's still pretty cool here. The temperature dropped again when we got back, so I had this big in here to so hopefully this one lays down good and I'll be able to actually get this thing installed pretty soon. So we'll see. I'll come back whenever ready to sand and we'll check out that rough spot. Well guys, it's been about 20 hours or so. It's not quite 24 hours, but I come out here to have a look at this hood. It's dry to the touch and everything, so we can get a good look at how flat that paint laid down. So let's have a look real quick. It looks really good. I'm really happy with it. I think anything that we see now can be taken out with sanding. So I'm going to show you guys real quick, and then later on this afternoon, maybe even tomorrow, I'm going to start with the wet sand. So let's check it out. All right, so everything looks pretty good. It's got a little sheen to it. I mean, for spray paint, I think that's pretty good. Everything's flat and smooth. Everything looks good. There's just one spot over here that has a bit of a haziness to it. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. It's just a little hazy right there, but I think I can fix that with sandpaper, because I'm going to sand the whole thing anyway. So as long as I can get the sanding done without going through the paint again, I think we'll be in business. I'm going to start with 1000 grit wet sand, and then move on to probably 1200 or 1500, and then start laying the clear. So wish me luck. All right, this is next round. This is 1000 grit wet sand on the orbital, and then I did like this stuff, hand sanding, of course. I don't want to burn through that paint on any of these hard edges, but it's much smoother. It feels good. It's got still just a little bit of a texture. I don't think that'll be a problem. I want to go 1200 next. We should start seeing some shine at that point. But the thing is, I mean, I'm going to clear it. So you put some moisture on there like you would get if it was cleared. You got a good sheen. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to hit it again. The next step up, and then we'll check it out. Quick check in here on the hood. I just got done with an 800 grit wet sand on the orbital, and then I did some hand sanding in some of the creases and such. You can see it smoothed it out quite a bit. It's still got a little bit of a grain to it. This splotchiness is just where sanding stuff has dried on the paint. It's not a big deal. I'm going to switch over to the 1000 grit and hit it again, and I'm hoping we'll really see a good difference in the finish after I do that. It's coming along though. So far so good. All right, we got the next round complete. That was a 1200 grit. It's looking really good. There's just a little bit of a texture left. It's almost there. Well, I'm liking it a lot. Even if I just cleared it now, I think it would look good. Good enough for what I want. I mean, the truck's kind of banged up anyway, so I did run through one spot right here. It's minimal. And then a little bit on this corner. Again, it's minimal. But I want to do the 1500 grit, and then I'm going to try to just brush on just a little bit of paint just to hide that. And then instead of spraying it again, and then we'll let it fully dry, clean it up real good, and get started on the clear. I may wait till tomorrow on that, because it's supposed to be nice tomorrow, like 75, so that's more painting weather. Right now it's like high 50s, low 60s. So, all right, next round, and then we'll check in. All right, we're now up to a fairly thorough 1500 grit sand. As you can see, it's pretty uniform as far as shininess goes. There's still a little bit of like texture here and there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But I think for what I'm doing, it's going to be fine. And once I get the clear on there, it'll hide most of it. When I clean it up real good, probably lay down a coat. I'm going to double check, just kind of go around with my fingers and see if I can find any spots that, like in here, still needs a little bit more. Kind of feel it with your fingers where the rough spots are along that edge. May go back and do a little light hand sanding just to kind of clean everything up. So, I mean, I know it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm kind of I get in these moods where I want it to be perfect, and I know my capabilities are not to make it perfect, but I'm going to try my best. See, like from over here, that looks, got a little reflection going on. That's pretty nice. Anyway, all right, I'm going to do a little hand sanding, clean up the rest, wipe it down real good, and get ready to lay some clear. All right, guys, first round of clear is down. It laid down okay. There's a couple of spots I'll show you in just a minute that kind of did some weird stuff, but I haven't sanded it or anything. This is just laid down. It was kind of a two light coats with about a 5-minute in between. So, I mean, it looks okay. It's not a thick enough coat to actually make it shiny, but we do have a few spots like right here. If you can see that, it's very rough. This is the spot that I've had so much issues with the paint. It's doing the same thing there. A little bit here. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps doing that. It was doing the same thing with the paint. And this is all the same brand paint. It's all Rust-Oleum. It should all work together. So I'm gonna hit the 1500 wet sand on it. See if I can get that stuff off without going all the way through to the paint again. And see what it looks like then. All right. All right, 1500 grit, wet sand, scuffed it up again. I was able to get most of these rough spots flat. Had to go a little higher on the grit up to about 800 and just hand sand it. But they're pretty flat. The spots that were in the middle of the hood seems to have went away just from the regular sanding. All right, I'm gonna lay another coat of clear and we'll see what happens. I hope it stays down this time. It's a lot of work. All right, another day out here on the hood for the OBS. I went ahead and did the 1500 grit wet sand and then laid down another layer of clear. This time I went a little heavier and made sure it was wet all the way across on each pass. So we're gonna have a look at this finish now. It's still wet, but it looks like it's laying down good. So we're gonna check it out real quick, and hopefully this one will be like a 2000 grit sand and then the final, and then we can start polishing. So let's check it out. All right, it's looking pretty good. I think it's got a good shine to it. Couple little places, like right there, it's got a little run, but those seem to stand out pretty easily. I mean, from here it looks shiny. If it stays that way dry, it'll be nice. So I got good feelings about it. There's no buckling or any of that like alligator skin looking crap popping up, so that's good. I think I figured that out though, so I'm going to show you guys. Hang on a second. See, I picked up this Duplicolor paint prep stuff when I picked up the paint shop paint that my buddy was going to try to do. Ended up not working, but I've been using this stuff in between every sanding before I lay another coat. And I finally like ran out, so I didn't use it on the last clear, and it laid down fine. So I think it might have been this stuff. I don't know if it just wasn't dried all the way, didn't wipe it off good. I don't know. But ever since I stopped using this, it hasn't buckled. So I'm going to stop using this. It's going in the trash. But, all right, got to let it dry for 24 hours and then we'll check it out. All right, guys, we're in the home stretch. The hood looks really good as it is. If I can get over here, it's got good shine to it. There's a few little blemishes. There's a little bit of a run here. Somehow a piece of hair or something got stuck in there. And then there's a little bit, if you can see, like on that edge, there's a little bit of a texture. I think a lot of that would go away if I just, whenever I do the polish, but I'm going to do a 2000 grit wet sand for the final clear coat. And then we're going to let that set for a couple of days. I probably won't be back on this until Friday or this weekend. And then I ordered some like scratch remover polish, and we're going to polish it up with the buffer and then put it on. So really excited for that. Hopefully everything goes well. It's a little cool today, so I got the heater going out here trying to warm it up a little bit. It's in the 50s, so it's a little on the cool side for spraying paint, but if I can get the 10 degrees or more up in here and get the metal to warm up a little bit, I think we'll be fine. So I'm going to hit that real quick and then we'll check it out. All right, guys, I'm really hoping this is the last spray. It's laid down really clean. It laid down really flat. There's a little bit of trash in the clear, but I mean, I'm not in a paint booth, so it is what it is. We'll have a look at it real quick, and then we're going to let it dry, and then we'll start buffing it with some cutting compound. All right, let me get over here where you get some light so you can see. It's looking good, guys. It's really looking good. It laid down flat. I don't see any major runs yet. That trash that was in that groove right there, you can't even really see it on the camera, but there's like a piece of fuzz or something in there. I couldn't get it out. I was sanding and sanding. I started getting back into the paint itself, so I had to stop. But it's really laid down good, I think. Zoom out here so you can get the full effect. Yep. So I ordered some like Mother's type polishing. It's basically scratch remover and polish. I figured that would be harsh enough to, because this is fresh, clear. It's not really scratched up. I just want to polish it shiny. So I grabbed some of that. It should be here in 2 days. So this weekend, once it's fully cured, I'll go ahead and start doing the polish, and then hopefully we'll get it put on. And I'm really excited for that. I need to get this thing out of the way so I can start on the CJ. All right, so we'll see you guys in a couple of days. All right, guys, the time has come, kind of. It's been a couple of days since I laid down the clear, so it's had plenty of time to cure. I did have to do a little touch-up over here. It's kind of ugly. There was some, I mean, it looked like a big, like, hair off of a paintbrush or something was stuck in the paint. So I had to sand it and relay the clear a little bit right there. So that's going to wait. So what I plan on doing is I got some Buffy stuff. I got the good stuff here. The Chemical Brothers scratch and swirl remover. So I'm going to do one side. I'm going to start from the crown, or work my way over to the crown of the hood there. And that way we can compare the difference and see how it works. And then I can wait another day and let that dry some more and then hit that tomorrow. So that's the plan. I don't want to get covered in the polish, so I've got a poncho that I'm going to put on real quick, and then I'll lay some of that down and see what it looks like. I'll pick back up whenever I got some results. Well, unfortunately, that didn't do a whole lot. As you can hear, still got kind of a rough texture in some spots. Some of it's more shiny, like this front edge is pretty nice. But it's not very smooth. That was just, I say one pass, but really I did about 4, you know, this way. I did like the whole hood and then went back over it. So basically 4 passes. but I was very light pressure because I didn't want to burn the paint. So I'm going to try it again with a little more pressure, maybe a little more product, maybe a little more speed. See if we get anything out of it. I've been using this wool mitt, but I also have some of the foam buffers that I think are, I don't know if they're more or less aggressive. I've got that big one, and then I've got some smaller ones, an orange and black. The black one's a lot softer. So, I don't know. I'm gonna keep trying. I'll hit it again, see what happens. I'll let you guys know. All right, we got another pass in. I switched to the foam head and basically did the same type of a grid, back and forth twice, all the way across and then back. So basically 4 passes. And it is looking better. There's less of the dry, scratchy parts. This over here is looking really good, really shiny. Feel like I'm about halfway there, so I'm gonna hit it again with the foam pad, do a very thorough buff, and then probably call it quits, because at the end of the day, I'm not a professional, and this is not, I mean, the truck's not perfect, so I think this is gonna be good enough. So I'm gonna hit it one more time with that foam pad and get it real good, and then I think we'll be good. I really need to hit right here though, because this is still pretty, you can hear it, kind of scratchy. So I need to hit that hump pretty good. All right, one more round. All right guys, I'm gonna call it quits on this side. If you get over here with some light, it looks pretty good. From a distance, it'll look fine. I'm not a professional. At this point, I can't even call myself an amateur or a novice. It's obviously I'm an amateur because I let it get away from me and dinged it here. And then got a little hot in that corner and kind of melted the clear. Hopefully the color fades because it's got some of the wax in it and it's kind of green. So if that fades, you won't be able to see it as bad, but that's clear, that's bubbled up. But I mean, it's pretty smooth, it's pretty slick. It looks pretty good. I'm just gonna go with it. One of these days I'll repaint the truck completely and then I won't have to worry about it, but that's it. Tomorrow night I'm gonna hit this side after I let this spot. I wanna have to probably wet sand it a little bit because it's kind of rough, but that'll be tomorrow. So we'll see you then. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and knock this out. I got the other side to do now. Just wanted to give you guys a quick side by side because I only buffed to the crease here. So if I come over here where you can see the light, you can see the difference. Pretty good difference. I mean, it's no automotive paint quality. It's not deep, it's not rich, but I'm also an amateur. So I'm happy with it. I'm gonna make the other side look the same and we're gonna get this thing mounted up. All right, let's do it. All right guys, I'm calling it. That's all I'm doing. We got shiny all the way across. Color looks good. There's a few blemishes here and there. There's a little bit of a texture there, a little blemish in the gap, and then where the buffer bit. But over here, she looks good, right? That's all that matters, because the truck don't look that good that close. So I'm happy with it. I'm calling my buddy down the road to see if he can come help me put it on. So hopefully by the end of the day, it'll be installed. I can take all this crap down and get to work on everything else. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. It's been a learning experience for sure. I never want to do this again, but I'll get some pictures and some video once we get it installed, and then we'll be able to check it out. All right, guys, it's finally time. I got the OBS back in the garage here. I cleaned up a little bit. I called my buddy down the street. He's going to come down and help me throw this thing on real quick. So I'm going to get started stripping off the parts we got to move over. So we got to move over the latch bar, and we got to move over that light, that underhood light. So I'm going to get those taken off, and then while I'm waiting on him to get down here, and then we'll get it put on. I'm so excited. You guys are going to love this. It's going to look so good. I'm ready. Yep. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Thank God. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me. This was a huge learning experience. Mostly, I learned that I'm not very good at painting, but whatever. It's done. So it's time to get the shop cleaned up for the next project. Got to get the CJ in here and get started on it. If you guys like this content, you like hanging out with me, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot more to go with the OBS, and we got some CJ content coming up pretty soon. I'm going to dive into that one next. There's going to be a lot of cool projects with that one. I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to be doing a brake booster upgrade and some other stuff. So a lot of cool projects that I've never done before. So it'll be a learning experience for all of us. And hopefully you guys are excited for that content as well. But for now, I'm going to finish this one off. You guys have a good one and rock on.